Okay, I think I'm going to share a few of my sketchbooks with you. So I'll walk you through. Oh, this is scary. I don't know. Do I want you to see my sketchbooks? Okay, this one I started in 2019. And the first page here, you can see I was playing around with some Sharpies, and I remember being so excited that I actually got these to look 3D. And then I wanted to play around with some calligraphy ideas after doing that. And art book, you know, real clever first page here. So here's my art book. And then I was on a little Alice in Wonderland kick, so there's going to be a few pages along those lines, and then again just playing around with some typography. So that was the Colorase pencils, and I think these were the Micron pens that I used for this one. This was an idea I had. I started writing out part of the story in the tree, and then I wanted the Cheshire Cat to be in the leaves, and then of course a little white rabbit. So and then I figured I would just keep on going with this Alice in Wonderland theme. So a little quote here. This was an illustration from the book that I thought was cool, and I wanted to play around with a new brush pen that I got. So I sketched it out first and then went over that with the brush pen to try to figure out like the line weight for that. And then I also had just recently gotten one of these little wax seal kits, so sealed the little envelope that way. And then I first got the Prismacolor colored pencils, and wanted to do a little sketch with those, and that was really fun to do, to just layer that up, and I really like how that looked on the toned paper. Some eyeballs, because you know, you always need a page of eyeballs in a sketchbook. I was testing out here how some gouache would work on this paper, and I did not like how it felt working on it, because this paper is really thin. It just like crinkled up, and that bothered me. So you won't be seeing any more of that in this sketchbook. And then here I wanted to play around with some alcohol markers, and I liked the effect that those gave on the toned paper, and then I wanted to experiment with some character designs, so I thought it'd be cute to design me and my husband. So you can see that here. And then this was an artist. I need to look, I'll link it because I can't remember the name of the artist, but I love this style and I thought it was really cute. So I was trying to like understand that style a little bit better and the forms, because I think this artist does a really good job with creating the forms and the depth with just simple characters. So that was some of the inspiration there. My little wooden art guy. This was an illustration attempt. I don't love how this turned out, and I don't know exactly why, but this was after a hike my husband and I did. We brought our little dog with us, and we saw some eagles, and we got some burgers after, so, you know. Random. More random. I often use my sketchbooks for like studying, so I was studying some anatomy and doing some figure studies. So it's just some 2-minute gesture drawings there. Some little randomness, swatches and faces and all kinds of things. Some more portrait studies. This was for a painting. I was trying to figure out the composition for that. Let's see. Some random things. Like most of my sketchbooks, just random little things. I was liking how I was on a roll with like the structure and like form of these little creatures, so I just kept going. It was kind of fun. The horse is kind of a mess, but I like how some of these other ones turned out. This was studying, well, I set some goals because I was recognizing where I was lacking. I mean, a lot of ways, but specifically I wanted to improve the construction, proportion, the volume, of some of my portraits and heads that I was drawing. So I worked towards, or I was studying the Loomis method, so I got a few art books that and I made a little note here which page that was from, so just figuring out the construction and trying to understand those concepts and then putting them into practice. And then I was playing around with the blending stump here. I think it's a little messy, but some more just random construction lines. And then some skull studies. Some more warm-ups. And then I suck at drawing hair. So I was trying to figure out just practicing hair. These are still I still suck at drawing hair, so still something I need to work on, but this I was just making a conscious effort to like understand the form and shape and shading and all the things. It's hard. I usually just ignore it. I usually just don't draw the hair. Oh, another little eyeball painting. And then I started some art classes. I'm going to share another sketchbook. You'll see a little bit of where I transitioned there too, but I started some art classes online with the Milan Art Institute, so doing the mastery program online. And my goal was to learn oil painting because I had never painted with oils before. And I have some notes from some of those classes there. Some random little animals. Another little skull. Some more randomness. Playing around with some alcohol markers again. And then a painting idea, or painting / crafty project idea. Sometimes I just cover things up that I don't want you to see, or I don't want to look at. Some sketches. I feel like this was a turning point in my sketchbook. From this point forward, I don't know, something clicked for me, so I liked how a lot of these like upcoming sketches turned out with like the little pet portraits, and I start playing around with ballpoint pen a little bit more. So some portraits. I mean, these are really bad, but a little movie scene, Johnny Depp, ballpoint pen thing. Some cute pet portraits. I started incorporating some more markers in here. I don't love when it bleeds through on the back, which is why I generally don't use I don't know. I just do what I feel like. I don't really have a process for any of this. This is just randomness. Some more cute pet portraits. Jack Black. I think I was watching the Minecraft movie. Random doodles. Some more cute ballpoint pen doggos. I'm playing around with this white gel pen. Some cute little pets and their fun expressions. These I really like. These are cute little puppy expressions. I like how the white outline looks on the toned paper. And then I started incorporating a little more into like some other elements of the portraits. Emily Hughes, I love watching her. She's an insanely talented artist, and she had a video about like her oil painting process. And since I was like on a kick of like I want to learn how to oil paint, I was writing out like what her process is to try to like wrap my head around it as I was doing my own art classes too with the Milan Art Institute. I haven't actually tried this process, but I figured having it in my sketchbook, I often will flip back through some of my sketchbook pages, so I'll have it there to try at some point. Some colored pencils. I hadn't really played around with that yet on the toned paper, and I really liked the effect that gave. And then some markers. I just love like smoother gradients, like textures. Sometimes I'm okay with it, but most of the time I just want it to be like smooth, and I love the transitions that markers give, but I don't love the bleed through. So some more ballpoint pen little sketches. This is from an Instagram account that I'll link it. I forget the name of it, but it's candid shots at like fairs and stuff. So you get a whole wide range of different faces and expressions, and it's in direct sunlight. So you get this beautiful contrast and lighting. So I like using that Instagram page for reference. Some more randomness with that. Some figure studies. Some more portraits. And then I had some goals for my next sketchbook. I did buy another the toned gray sketchbook because I liked the toned paper. I often will have multiple sketchbooks going at a time, so I'll show you another one that I was working on simultaneously, but for my next sketchbook, my goals were to do more color studies because I tend to just default to pencil, or I transitioned into doing more ballpoint pen stuff, but just I want to understand color a little bit better. And then I want to get better at simplifying and stylizing my portraits, and then figure studies and anatomy, because I usually just draw heads and I don't draw bodies. So I want to get better at that. So, and then I always do swatches in the backs of all my sketchbooks. So I had all my colored pencils, so the Prismacolor pencils that I was using, those are all swatched back here, and then all of my alcohol markers. I have a combination of some Copic and Ohuhu markers. So that's that one. Okay, this was the other sketchbook I had going on around the same time. This one, if I remember, I started in 2019. I just finished it, so I don't think I wrote any dates in here, but this one just recently, 2025, I finished that one. So it took me a minute to get through all of that. It took some really long breaks with my art, so this one I started in 2022 and then finished in 2025. So yeah, I've been trying to be more consistent with like not taking as long of a break with my art. So okay. So, like I mentioned, some of my goals were to do more stylized, simplified portraits. Up until this point, I think I only drew women, and then I'm, trying to draw more male portraits so I can get better at that. Now I really like them. Now I like more distinguished features and less soft, just pretty, and I find it to be more interesting. This, I was trying to get better at the alcohol markers, which still is a struggle. I'm still trying to get better at alcohol markers, but I thought these were fun because they were just really funky colors for the portrait. So this, when I was watching, of course, Wednesday, that whole TV series was so good, and it gave me a good excuse to practice hands. And this was like a Posca pen in the background. I like how that turned. I like that a lot. This was some gouache that I just did to cover up the bleed through. And then some more hands. Actually, I hate when I do this. Why did I do this? Oops, which way? Okay. Yeah, so this way, and then this way. And then I was just playing around with some different art styles. So like from, I don't know, just cartoony, not generally what I go for, but I wanted to experiment with it and just see what I could do, especially with the markers, because I think the markers look really cute with a simplified approach. This, I really liked how this one turned out. This, of course, another attempt at markers. Did a little bit better with the hair. I don't hate how that turned out. I think this is a little streaky. I could have done a better job blending the markers, but this was a fun one, and I really like how this turned out. I like the line work on this, the variation in the thickness of the lines, and then of course the background. I think that looks really good. It pops against that background. This page was really fun. I was watching the Sandman series, so drawing that actor, he had really interesting features, so I like how that little face turned out. And another skull study. and trying to do more full body stuff. This heel looks so stiff and awkward. It's kind of funny. I have a hard time when I do a full figure. I have such a hard time with like the face and head. Like it's one or the other for me. I can't do both. So this page, I realized all of my portraits had the very same expression. They were all very like neutral, boring, blank expressions. So I was trying to like explore a little bit more with that. So I found this little chart of expressions, and I thought it was really helpful to just see like what the eyes and eyebrows and mouths were doing. And I love the simplification of that. So I just drew that out just to kind of make sense of it, and then practice it with some different portraits. So thinking about like what the muscles are doing and how the face is scrunching or not. So I try to implement that in my art moving forward from here. And then I was thinking about like character design, because I was drawing these cute little simplified expressions and characters. I was thinking more about like how can I get better at that in my own art. And Chris Hung, her characters are so cute, and like I mean, even just I was looking at some of hers and just trying to understand like how she does hers, because these are all from her. Like the proportions of the bodies, the expressions, it's so good. So then I was studying some of her stuff, and then I was trying to apply just like some of the just volume in the face. I think is really cute, like the cute little cheeks and all the little things. So I was trying to understand that. And then another little expressive portrait, and I like how that one turned out. And then I was trying to do some more figure stuff, or just like poses and understanding proportion a little bit better with bodies and anatomy. And like I always love the artists who do like the like fashion studies, and those always look so good. This there's something so off with this. I don't know if it's the head or the, I don't know, something's off, but it's like I said, I can either do the head or the body. I can't do both together. So then I started ignoring faces and heads, and that works, and that's great. So one or the other. This random page, I usually am just drawing what I'm reading or watching on TV. So like of course I was reading the Akatar series, so then sketching inspiration from that, and then the movie what's it called, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that one. So then I was sketching ideas or just things from that. This was I don't know, I didn't like how one side of her face turned out, so there you go. And then Arcane. Oh my gosh, I loved Arcane. The art style on that was so beautiful. And as I was on this like exploration of like portraits and stylization, that timing was really cool, because then I got to study a bunch of the art, or just try drawing a bunch of the art from that show. And then I was watching a lot of Sam Does Art's channel, so like his stuff is really cool and stylized and just beautiful, so trying to learn from that too. And then my husband and I play Overwatch a bunch, so there's a little Moira action going on for you. More Arcane studies. So I love the way they do the eyes, so I just kind of went down a rabbit hole of just looking at the eyes only and drawing those. I love the structure of it all, so just like a Sorrow head approach, and just how blocky and beautiful that all is, with like a painterly overlay. Like everything about it is just gorgeous. And then trying to apply some of that into my own style as I was sketching more portraits at that point, and then playing around with some little cartoony ideas of like how to turn my dog into a little character, and then just random pet portraits that way. Random page of character portrait things, little skull thing. I don't remember, when was this? July 2023. So this was when the new Spider-Man movie came out, Into the Spider-Verse. So just like playing around with stylization off of that too, because that was also very Asaro head-esque. So like I was just experimenting, and I don't love how these turned out, but just an idea I was playing with. And then I missed my alcohol markers because I hadn't played with those in a while, so then I did a few little portraits with those, or random drawings with those. And then just a bunch of heads, because you know, that's my default when I don't know what else to draw. Just do a bunch of heads. Some quick sketches. I was trying to do more timed stuff, and just to warm up and not spend too much time on it. This was actually a painting idea that I did paint. I'll show you how that turned out too. More random heads, you know, we've got a theme. Ugly page of collage, painting idea, notes, random doodles. More random stuff. I don't like how that turned out. The usual, you know what I'm gonna say. This was another painting idea. The concept of this was really cool, but I don't think I executed the painting very well. This was actually, I did this painting with oils because I got all the stuff for my art classes, but I hadn't started taking my classes yet, so I'll show you how that painting turned out. And then some studies. I like how this one turned out. I liked the blend of like using the blending stump for like some smooth gradients around some of the features, but then leaving everything else really simplified. I really like that combination, and then the outline around with the Posca marker. I want to revisit that actually, now that I'm looking at this again. Some eyes, more eyeballs. Little emo sketch. And this page, I was playing around with some different ideas for a Barbie pumpkin I was going to paint for a work thing. So I did end up painting, so I did this cute little pink pumpkin with a Barbie portrait on it. I'll show you how that turned out. Some figure studies. This was really fun. I started getting more into just wanting to focus on body proportions and different poses and fun little things. And then as I was doing these, I realized I was completely neglecting. I actually had never drawn feet by themselves, or hadn't done much with hands. I'd done a few hand studies, but not many. So just incorporating a little bit more of that and trying to be more intentional with like working on my weaknesses and not just only drawing heads all day every day. So we've got a couple pages of those now. And then this, I was playing around with the water-based Tombow markers. So I had just randomly had those laying around. So pulled those out and started messing with those a little bit. So some more figure studies, poses. I like this page. I started off with pencil sketches and then outlined them with pen, and then I liked the border in the marker. That's a theme apparently. Now that I'm flipping through this sketchbook again, I like outlining things with the marker. I think that looks cool. This was just random studies. I say random too much. I need to stop saying random. Okay? We're gonna stop. Some Van Gogh. Oh yeah, these pencils were really fun. They're like, actually, let me show you. They're like these multicolor, you don't know what you're gonna get when you're drawing with them, which was actually way more fun than I thought it was gonna be. And this little box of them, I think I got these on Amazon. There's like a bunch of different color options. So this page was just playing around with those. And of course, when I started like messing with them, it made me think of Van Gogh colors and just the different swirlies and that whole texture, and that's where that came from. some Alice in Wonderland vibes, and then some more portraits. And then I was noticing, like, I have two very distinct personalities when it comes to sketching heads. They're either very messy, blendy, sloppy, or they're very clean. So it was kind of interesting to just see that on the same page, where I had a few that came out very like neat and tidy, and two that were very sketchy, loose, and there you go. I was watching One Piece, so of course had to draw some of that. Ugh, okay, we're gonna skip this page. This one's ugly. Okay, here is where I started the mastery program. So it was January 2024 that I started that. So one of the assignments was sketching. So scale and proportion was the focus of it, and doing just like a contour drawing, so just a line drawing. This one, we were getting ready to do a portrait painting, which was like way outside of my comfort zone because I didn't paint many portraits. I usually sketch them, but I didn't usually paint them. So I was trying to figure out like what portrait I wanted to paint, because I had, they provide some references, like a Pinterest board of references for you. So I was between these two. I ended up painting this one. And then I just, based on the assignment, I was trying to understand what they were saying about like the color and just layering colors. So I experimented first with the chisel tip of the markers, which of course I never used before. I always used the brush side because, like I mentioned, I like everything smooth and blendy, and they were encouraging you not to blend in this class. So that was a hard assignment. I definitely overworked the painting, but in the end, the proportion of it turned out fine, but something I probably want to reattempt. And then in the art classes, they started doing some gesture drawings, which I already had a little bit of practice with, but it was helpful to just have the timed approach to that. And then they had you do 5 minute and then 1 minute. I struggled so bad with the 1 minute. Like I didn't, the time would be up before I would even like wrap my head around what I was drawing. So these are very quick, very sketchy. And then I almost didn't know what to do with myself with the 10-minute one after doing the 1 minute ones, because I didn't know how to pace myself or how much detail to go into, because I got so used to like rushing through the 1 minute ones. So this was okay. And then there were some 20-minute ones, which gave us a little more time to like render things out more. I think I struggled a little bit with the proportion. These poses were really hard. I don't know why I picked these, but yeah. Ugly page. You can tell when I have really bad art block, so it's just same ugly page. Okay, so this was a pretty big jump to go from a page like this to a page like this. We had an assignment to do small scale realism, and I just spent a lot of time on like rendering this, obviously, because it's got a pretty good range of values in it. And then because I liked working with the pencil so much on this really smooth paper, I like the sketchbook a lot. It's the Ilio sketchbook. I started sketching more like that in there then, just for fun. So I did this little doodle, and then again incorporating that Posca marker outline, which I thought was a fun little touch. And then I really love how these turned out. This was just a fun little portrait session. And then I messed up this spread because I had a painting idea, so then I just quick sketched out a composition idea for a painting. This was another painting idea I had. Thought it'd be cool to do a self-portrait. So here's a little sketch self-portrait, but then I thought it'd be cool to do one like a painting with like broken glass, so like the reflection of you. And then I thought about incorporating some kintsugi, but haven't yet to do that one. Still want to. And then this little guy, my little teacup poodle, passed away in December of 2024. So okay, I don't know what happened with my camera. It stopped, but hopefully I was recording that. This is a little portrait of my hubby and I. Did this for our anniversary. This was part of the art classes I was taking too. So there's a section about finding your voice and identifying your temperament, like how you like to lay down paint and how you like to draw. And I thought this was so interesting, and I have had such an identity crisis since, because I don't know what fits me best, or I don't know. I got really hung up on this and dove way too deep into the personality archetypes and trying to figure out what my temperament was and who I was and all of that. So that was a little just note-taking session from that class. And then also just the following pages, you can kind of see that reflected, where I'm just like, who am I? What do I want to create? So I was just sketching out some different ideas or things that felt true to me. So I like the juxtaposition of technical, drafting, blueprint style with something more expressive and creative overlaid, and even just collage elements. I've been really enjoying exploring that in my art. And then this was just a bunch of ideas of what I want to reflect in my art. So anything with depth, visually, texturally, emotionally, all of that. And just some words that really stuck out to me about how I tend to prefer creating my art. And just some notes to try to help me understand what do I want to say, how do I want to say it, where do I find my inspiration. And then this was a YouTube class I was taking. Oh, I said again. We should have a little counter. Maybe we'll do that. We'll count how many times I said it. So I was just trying to practice that, and then I just busted out the markers again. But this marker was dripping everywhere. It was a big mess, so not my best work. This was a painting idea I had. I was trying to incorporate some more abstract elements with the subjects, and then I used those rainbow pencils again to sketch this out, which was fun. Some collage elements, some sketchy doodle things. And I had this idea of sketching and then collaging it, but using a kintsugi style approach to collage it back on. So that's what this was, just playing around with that concept and idea. And then I wanted to incorporate some more backgrounds when I do my sketches, but I always find that they feel too busy, and I leave my pages pretty blank and empty. And then I felt like I needed chaos to come out, so we have a chaos page. This is crazy, some scribbles and collage and this. Okay, some ballpoint pen sketches, and then some pencil sketches. I'm always looking for good resources for reference photos, so Unsplash was a good one. That's where I found that reference. And then now that we're at the last few pages of my sketchbooks, I always give up a few pages before. I just don't want to finish them. So this was my attempt to just try to fill the pages. So I did some figure studies, some very, very poorly done hand studies. Some more figures. Tree, little crow. This was a painting, composition, color exploration idea. I never actually turned this into a painting, but I thought this image was really cool, and I had to sketch it out. I think I sketched it a couple different times, but that's all that. Some 5-minute portrait studies, some 2-minute very sloppy gesture drawings, and 2-minute gesture drawings. I think that was the end of it. So then my little swatch page at the back, but that was that. So I actually liked the sketchbook, the paper of it, so much I got another one. So my next 2 sketchbooks that I'm working on, I have this exact one, and then instead of the tan paper, I got a gray tone, which I really like, so that's what I'm working on next. Okay. Well, thanks. Bye.